Good morning. I am out in the garden. If you have just happened upon my little YouTube channel, well, I'll give you a little bit of background. My name is Jody. My husband and I live in Texas. We spent our careers living in small cities, and we retired about 5 years ago and decided that we wanted to be out in the country. So we moved to an area. We bought 5 acres. We had never really had property before that. And we started gardening and just found that we had a total passion for it. And so we now are at a new property. And behind me is our new house. We just moved in about a month ago. We're not fully moved in, but we're pretty much moved in. Um, and we started our garden in November. And so we're just on our gardening journey in our new property. So we pretty much grow all our own food. And Pete hunts. My husband's name is Pete. And so that's pretty much the meat that we eat. And we just love it. We feel like we have found a really healthy lifestyle for retirement. So I'm out in the garden today, and we're kind of in the process of reevaluating how we're doing this space, and I'm going to kind of show you what's going on. So I had the brilliant idea that when we walked in the garden, we'd have these two big beds and have them full of flowers and herbs. And that was great, except that with the hydrant there, it made it so we couldn't bring the tractor in here. So we just picked up the frame from this one and put it over here, and we'll kind of level this out. And so we only have one. And right now in the garden, I mean, a lot of it's been pulled out. We did actually harvest probably 150 pounds of tomatoes this year. We harvested about 300 pounds of sweet potatoes, about 300 pounds of regular potatoes, maybe 50 pounds of beets. So we've gotten a lot of harvest, even though this was our first year. But we have learned a lot this year, and our biggest issue is we have coastal hay in this what used to be a hayfield. And so it's just so aggressive. It's unbelievable. So we've decided that we have to work our garden in as a large block so that we don't have paths with coastal hay running through it, which is it's just too many perimeters to take care of. So we've got to reduce the amount of perimeter. But right now in the garden, what we have is we have watermelons, which is kind of funny. I've never grown them before, and we've probably gotten, I don't know, 10 or 12 great big watermelons. At this point, we're giving them the chickens. Pete and I really don't like watermelon very much. But it's a super fun thing to grow, and I would grow it again for the chickens. In the summertime, it's really nice to put them in the fridge and then cut them up and give them the cold watermelon. We had some cantaloupe, which we got quite a bit, and made a cantaloupe jam that is to die for. We absolutely love it. It wasn't that much work. These are our asparagus, and we brought these as seedlings from our last place. So they've been in the ground not quite a year, and they're doing really good. But the thing that we're kind of excited about is spaghetti squash. So this is the first year that I've had success with spaghetti squash, and it's something that we eat a lot of. We just love. There's one particular dish we make with spaghetti squash that we really love. So pretty excited about this. So this is the original edge of our garden, and as you can see, it doesn't really stay an edge, and we're out here weeding a lot. So this is strawberries, and the grass just has taken over. So I'm going to have to move them, but that'll happen in the next probably month. And we did grow sweet potatoes out here. We grew a lot of things out here. We've got beans right now. We've still got peppers, and they're actually finally doing better since our weather has turned, and we're into true fall now. So what we decided this year, we're doing a little experiment. We tilled up what's under silage tarp. We tilled up half of it and not the other half, and it'll be tarped until spring, and then we'll see what works better. As this gets pulled out, it'll get tilled and tarped probably, and we're going to put all of our, we've got onions and garlic and shallots to go in, and they'll go in here. So basically, it's the high tunnel is 60 feet long, and so this garden bed is also 60 feet to match the high tunnel, and then we'll just keep moving it out as we expand. So the high tunnel is where we're really going to make some major changes. This is our second high tunnel, and the high tunnel we had before was a Farmer's Friend, and it was a 16 by 15 Gothic Pro with a lift kit. So it was tall, but it was curved on the sides. And I was so excited about this. This is a grower solution, 20 by 60. Um, and it's got the high sides. And it was a lot more work to put up. It is very cool, and there's many things about it that I just love. But what we did was we went in here and we tilled so that we could just get started, because you kind of got to till, even though we prefer not to till. But to get started in a hayfield, you got to do something. So we kind of mounded everything, but as you can see, the mounds, they migrate. And so I realized that's a bit of a problem. So I think it's a brilliant idea, but we shall see. So what I'm doing is I'm putting boards along, and I think they're 8 inches, and these are all left over from our house build. So it's kind of low hanging fruit, and putting these in so that I can delineate the beds. So what I'll end up with here, this is going to take some time. I'll end up with 4 30-inch wide by 60-foot long beds and 3 36-inch wide aisles. We like pretty wide aisles because we like to be able to get a wheelbarrow through, and it just seems to work better for us. So I pulled out, so this was all tomatoes, and they're starting to produce again. But I pulled these all out, and I was kind of proud of myself, because it's really hard for me to do when they're green and lush, and I just really struggle with it. But this was all tomatoes. So I've pulled almost all the tomatoes out, other than just a few that I'm going to have some fall tomatoes so we can have some fresh eating. And then, silly me, I planted a pumpkin in here. But it did really good. And we've gotten, like, I don't know, maybe 10 of these big pumpkins. And this is a variety called Long Island Cheese. And it's a very old heirloom variety that is very traditional for pumpkin pie. We've harvested 5 or 6 of them. We've given some away, and I've processed some, and I've made a few things, and they're delicious. So we'll definitely grow this pumpkin again. But I'm kind of just, waiting for them. I've got them, they grew all the way out. It's grown all the way into the chicken yard. So I'm just kind of waiting for them to be able to be harvested. And then down here, I planted cucumbers. I planted them and they came up and the bugs got them. And then I planted them again and netted them. And this time they don't seem to be coming up. So now I've planted them again in the house, in the barn dough actually. And they're in trays so that I can plant out seedlings. So this is probably going to take all season to get this done. I'm working on that first bed because I've got cabbage that's ready to go in, and then I'll get this bed done. And then as the tomatoes come out, of course, I'll put other things in here. And then, so I'll just keep working, one side and then an aisle and then the other side. And then here I've got carrots, and this is a weird size bed. This bed just like flowed out and got big. And so you can see the stakes, and which will actually interfere with where my carrots are. So this bed will probably be the last one to be done. I'll probably do this side and this aisle and this bed, and that bed there will be the very, very last one. So the other thing that we've started doing is we've started taking cuttings from our fig trees and propagating them. And we're having just amazing success. So these were taken maybe 2 weeks ago, and they're already sprouting. Now these are much behind, but I see a few little green buds, so I think those are going to sprout too. But this is the one we're excited about because this is it's called Bordeaux, and it's a berry profile fig. So this is, we only have one tree out in the orchard of this. So this is kind of exciting. Last fall, we took cuttings of two different fig varieties and had them in those tree pots, and then we potted them up into big pots. And these are pots left over from trees we purchased. And these are just amazing. And man, once we put them in these big pots, they just took off. But they even have fruit, which is just more than we expected. They're not even a year old. So the cuttings were taken in November and of last year, right before we moved. The big change I want to make to the high tunnel, in addition to the beds, is I want to mesh the sides. So the plan is to just use insect netting, which is just like what I have down there on the cucumbers. And I think it's going to be really easy. It'll get wiggle wired in the side. It'll be stapled on the top and the bottom. The doors will still roll up and down, but it will keep it from being full of bugs. And then that door down there, we'll probably add a man door down there. We have one on this side, and that door down there, it's a rolly down door. It's a plastic, and it'll just get wiggle wired in, so it'll be closed. And in the summertime, with the sides up, we should still get plenty of ventilation, which is a big thing. And the door on this side will also be closed up, and then we'll just use the man door, which if I back up, you can see it. So we have a man door there, and we have this big open door. So this will all get closed. So the ends will be closed up, and the sides will roll up and down. And I think that will solve my insect problem. I mean, I'll still have a few, but we have things like armyworms in the fall, and they just go through and just eat everything. I lost an entire beet crop a couple years ago to armyworms, and it was like 400 beets. And they ate it so fast. So that's the big plan, and we'll see how it works out. Because the thing is what I grow in here generally doesn't need pollinators. And if I decide I want to grow something that needs pollinators, I can open these two big doors and we'll get bees in here. But in general, I grow tomatoes, which don't need pollinators. I grow peppers, which don't need pollinators. And I grow carrots and brassicas, and none of those things need pollinators. So obviously, no pumpkins in here. But that was a silly thing to do anyway. So anyway, that's kind of the plan that we're working on, and we're just slowly working it. We just, we work on it a few hours every single day, and pretty soon it'll be ready. So that's a little peek at what we're doing. We haven't got pictures up on the walls in the house yet, but we're working on it, and hopefully doing the garden this way, where we just really reduce the amount of perimeter hay, basically coastal. Coastal's a Bermuda, so that's why it's so invasive. Hopefully that will kind of get our weed pressure down a little bit, because the weeding has been, even with both of us weeding, it's very hard to keep up with. So we'll see how that works. Anyway, I'm excited about the high tunnel, and I guess that's kind of all. So to my family, I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.